All right, I am now joined by a very, very special guest, recurring guest, is friend of the pod, Giants organization catcher Sam Huff. Sam, it's so great to see you. I think we last time we did this was January of last year, so there's a lot to talk about. We're in the middle of the MLB playoffs right now, but I wanted to catch up. First, how are we doing?
We're doing, man. Thank you for having me on.
Of course, man. It's I love like you're like my catching correspondent because things will come up and I'll like have the notes app open. I'm like, I have pitcher friends and then I like hitter friends, but like you're the only guy I know who's a catcher. So like your perspective, working with both sides, pitching and hitting, like it's so cool. And I had such a great time last time. So I had some catching stuff. I wanted to first talk though about your former teammate in Texas, Mad Max Scherzer. We're taping this on Friday afternoon. On Thursday night, what a performance in the ALCS Blue Jays against the M's. Barkin, just a vintage Max Scherzer performance. As a former teammate of his, how cool is it watching it and then some of the theatrics?
I mean, it's Mad Max, like when we would play in Texas, you don't mess with Max, you don't talk to him. In the meetings, we did our meetings, you let him kind of talk and you can chime in if you have something that you feel strongly to tell him. But he's quick feedback. He doesn't really want you to kind of take his what he's done in the preparation, but you can also do your preparation. He respects it. So you see that, you see him out in the playoffs and you see him kind of going after people and doing what he usually does. So it was fun to watch and also getting to experience that with him in Texas. It was always fun for me.
I don't know if you saw the clip. This was him warming up in the bullpen before the game. He threw a pitch and he did the Shooter McGavin, like the finger guns, and he like holstered it. The pitching coach for the Blue Jays had said that like he had seen like Max in the bullpen before the game, just the best stuff he's ever seen. Like have you seen that pregame where like dudes are so locked in and you're like, this is gonna be an incredible performance?
Yeah. I mean, there's days where you see a guy that's elite in the bullpen. He goes out and does not have any clue where it's going. And then they look terrible in the bullpen. They could go eight shutty with 10 Ks. So it depends. But like when you catch Max, it's even in his bullpens, if he feels dialed, he knows what he's doing. We go through some hitters. He does all the pistol, the pulling the horn, like all the stuff he does with his pitches. And, it seeing him and him warming up and him doing that, he's confident. Like he's gonna do it regardless. It's Max, but he's always fun to watch in a sense of you can learn a lot in a sense for him pitching for how long he's been pitching and also how confident he is, even in the high leverage situation. I know he's done it a long time and has been a lot of playoff games, but I mean, nothing ever catches up to him. He's always Mad Max. He's focused. He's determined.
Have you ever been a part of a pitcher trying to stay in the game? Like pitcher go out to the mound, manager comes out. Have you have been in the situation as a catcher where you're like witnessing that?
Yeah, I mean, it ends up the pitcher gets yanked, but I mean, it's always fun to hear them argue when the coach is giving his spiel and then he'll like motion down. But I think with Robbie maybe once because when he was shoving and he got one guy out and Bomo came out and he was like, "Let me stay in." He's like, "No, I can't." Like, still early in the season, so it's always fun to hear pitchers do that, and you like to see it. It's like they're going, they want to keep going, and it's cool to see a coach go out there, not to the terms of what Max and they did, but I think in the sense of like coach believing in his pitcher, and it gives them a little confidence. And as a catcher, you see that, and it's you respect it, but also understand like, okay, now you got the extra couple batters, we got to get it going now.
Yeah, it was cool last night because it worked because he came out and then he asked to stay in and he did and he got the guys out. But like you're right, if it was the inverse of that where it was like I'm gonna stay in the game and then you just get shelled, this wouldn't be as fun of a conversation probably.
No, but it's still, even if it were to end bad, I think for everyone to see the coach give his faith to his pitcher, it's hard to do. It's not easy as a coach, I think. And you see coaches do it, or you experience guys that go through and get that honor to the opportunity to do it, and they show out and do it. It gives you goosebumps as a catcher because it's like, okay, yeah, he did that. Even if it was like not pretty, like at least he did and got out of it and help the bullpen an extra inning not to come in and waste a pitcher. That's always beneficial for that too.
It's a great point. One thing I noticed too about Max last night was that the curveball was working. He threw 10 of them. All of them were either swinging strikes or foul balls. Most of the strikeouts I feel like were on the curve. Before this goes back to what we were just talking about, like before the game, he said the curve was working for him. The pitching coach was like, this thing's sharp. The curveball for him all year has not been a good pitch though. Dudes are batting like 350 off of it. As a catcher, like how do you like take the eyeball test into account for some of this stuff where it's like maybe the game plan going into that game was probably not curveball, but then you're in the catch him in the bullpen, you're like, I think we got the curve tonight. How does that balance kind of work?
Think you kind of communicate that early with the pitching coach, and then you go to the pitcher, or you just go straight to him and say, "Yo, your curveballs looks good right now. Like we can sprinkle it in bridge counts, and if we need be, we can double up and do whatever. But it's working." And curveballs are a field pitch, so your curveball changeup, those are usually his better pitches, and everything he does is everything moves. He goes from every quadrant up, down, and out. And watching him, it doesn't surprise me that he had it, because when I've caught him, his curveball is always good. It's feel. It's all feel for him. And for him to pitch like he did, it looked like the usual max. Like I know he's probably not the same velo, but I faced him in taxi, and it gets on you when he's moving pitches up and down, in and out, and throwing cutters up and away and curveballs down and changeups off. You got to make decisions, and he attacked the zone. He made his pitches, made strikes, and it was easy for him to get pitchers or hitters to kind of get themselves out, because that's the game, is tricking them into thinking that they're getting something they're not.
Interesting. So if the curve is more of a field pitch and that can kind of be altered based on how it's going that day, like what if the fastball is not working, like pregame or just in general? How do you kind of fix around that?
I think you try and, for the pitcher, essentially, is you try to stay more thirds, obviously, and then you never know. Like it's weird because I've had pitchers lose their fastball, but their slider gets them back on it. Or if they throw their changeup, it helps them get a little more extension. Then you throw a heater and they start throwing strikes. So it's you never understand things sometimes, because it could be sweaty, you could be hot, you could be cold, or it just total feel like you're out of whack. You need something to get you back on. You need to slow the pace down. It's more little things, and like I believe in, like, if there's a I always ask pitchers, like, hey, like if you get in trouble, what's your like go-to strike? Like what would you strike as a pitch? And if it's like an off speed, if it's like I can land my slider, I can land my cutter, if I can drop a curveball in there, that's my best pitch. Okay, well, if you don't have that, it's like, okay, well, depends on what's on that day. And if whatever gets you back in the zone is what I truly try to like look at for the pitchers, because they're already doing so much. I'm trying to simplify for them, because all that preparation goes out the window after the first pitch. Nothing
Yeah.
ever goes wrong. And nothing's ever right. Nothing's ever good. Like when I caught Robbie one outing, and he wanted to go more changeups, and his changeup wasn't really on the first inning. And we threw a bunch of curveballs, and we were just backdooring curveballs, sliders, back foot, and would sprinkle in the changeups. And then sure enough, he's in the fourth inning, and he made it to the eighth inning because his changeup started to go. And so it was like he got his changeup after like the first or second inning. And so after that, now you have four more innings of pitches that they haven't seen his changeup really. So now you add in a changeup, and it's like, okay, backdoor curveballs, changeup, fastballs in, sliders down. Like you can play that game with whatever is on.
Wow. Well, I feel like every pitcher now has 5+ pitches. I think the number of guys who throw 5, 6, 7 is going up every year. Does that just make your job like, is that more time preparing, like going over game plans, like, or it could even be fun, like you said, like you could save one for the later innings? I feel like there's a lot of them.
You can use it as, like, you can utilize pitches in bridge counts, like Lander Roop. He was a sinker slider guy, but his slider was a very like heavy sweep slider. So it wasn't a usual sweeper, but it clocked in like a curveball. So you could have told every hitter, like went up one game, I caught him that slider's coming, no one was going to hit it, because it was just he could land it so well. And one game we were trying to like add in his cutter and it wasn't working, but his changeup and curveball were really good, or slider. So we just went off with his sinker, curveball, slider, and his slider wasn't really showing anything. So we went to changeup, and I was like, okay, like we'll get it going. And then this cutter slider came back, and it was like, okay, now he's in the sixth inning, seventh inning. He helped the bullpen. Now we only use two pitchers in the bullpen. We don't have to utilize four that whole time. It just depends on what you're working with.
How many like plan B, plan C, like how many alternatives do you have like mentally for game plans for guys based on how stuff's going?
I usually have a couple. Like I'm not gonna I'm not going to lie to the pitcher after a bullpen, but I want to hype him up. But if there's something that I don't like, I'm going to go to the coach and be like, yo, like, what do you see in this? Hey, like, what do we need to do to get him like dialed in? And we try to simplify. Like, it's more simplification for me. I don't want to go up to him and be like, dude, you look terrible. It's like, I feel like for a pitcher, it's like confidence for me gives him confidence. And it's like, okay, like I'll deal with whatever I need to deal with. Other than that, if he's not able to land pitches, my job is to make him understand like you're fine if you can't land a pitch. It shouldn't be the end of the world. Is it going to be harder? Yeah, but okay, you instead of 2 innings, you could go 4 or 5, and yeah, you're going to be in high in count, pitch count, but if you get to there, it's easier for the bullpen to make up for it.
Is your job as a catcher too kind of like, I don't want to say therapist, but like, walking that line of like building the confidence up, trying to get guys in a headspace that's pretty good?
Yeah, I mean, you got to know your pitchers. Like it's Logan Webb, he knows what he needs to do. It's like Robbie, he knows what he needs to do. A lot of veterans know what they need to do. Like younger guys, I don't think they're not strong mentally. It's like, and I was still learning them too. Sometimes, like you don't want to overstep your boundaries with guys you don't know, and sometimes you not saying anything and just kind of like feeling out what they're doing is the best thing. Because I'm the second I get with a pitcher, I try to figure out where they miss because if wherever they're missing with pitches, I want to be ready because if I can block those pitches for them, they trust me a little bit more now. Okay, he knows where my misses are. He's there. He's blocking them. He's doing his job. I don't have to worry if I spike a pitch. And after that, and then getting into the zone is a little bit easier for you because you know the confidence of like, okay, if he's a sinker guy, he likes to miss up and in. So you're anytime you call a sinker, if it runs a lot, you're setting up to okay, it's gonna go in if it misses. He doesn't yank a lot. So if his slider, if he has a nasty slider, oh, he sometimes backs up. You know, okay, if it's a strike, you can catch and steal it. But if he yanks it into the dirt and you know it's a pitch that it's his best strikeout pitch, you're gonna assume it's gonna be in the dirt every time.
Interesting. I wanted to talk about this, but this is a good segue. Just like the rise of one knee down catching stance. So Baseball Savant tracks all of this. I don't know how they do this, but from your perspective, I went and looked at yours. In 2020, you were 6% one knee down, and this year you were 95. The whole league is 95% one knee down. Can you talk about the evolution of that stance and how it kind of plays into like framing and blocking? Because I think all of these things are kind of related.
So it was weird this year because I usually go left knee down sometimes in my right knee up. And this year I strictly went right knee down, left leg kick out. And it was weird. Like my catching metrics on my angles were better with my right knee down versus like if I caught with my right knee up. So we did some research and I was doing because I was catching Robbie. So it made it easier for me to get fastballs coming in, sliders down, curveballs, and changeups. You just sit middle. So I started kind of preparing in a sense of like I'll just go right knee down and I can angle better with my chest. And we talk to Jose Trevino a lot and Pat and all those guys that we work together and you see what they do. It's all about angles of how you set yourself up with your chest because it view from the umpire, they're trying to see if you're jolting. And when I was going left knee down, I was like making this extra move up instead of my right knee down. I was naturally like just catching it. So I started doing it a little more. And then when I was in Sacramento, that's when I really just went straight right knee down. I never did left knee. And my numbers actually got better and my throwing was the same. Like it was always good when you need to do. And then just everything else, like back picking, it's easier. You're not in a different position. So if I wanted to back pick, it would be easy for me just to get up and throw for my knee instead of waiting with my left knee down and picking the right pitch. Cause you also got to be ready to block, throw, receive, and kind of jump to get the ball if it's over your head or something. So you want to be in the best position. I like right knee down a little more now because it's a good position to do a lot out of.
Does your body feel like more fresh? Is there less wear and tear from having the one knee down versus crouching?
Yeah, obviously I mean, Higgy still does it, like Higashioka, some guys still do it. It's hard to really like, oh, Hoppy does it a lot. I think it's a little harder if you're going to receive like that because you're in a position where your arm's kind of like cut off with your left arm and you want to make clearance on your left side with your arm so you can make those moves and be in the right position. And you can still do right knee up, but I think it's more with pitches going away into lefties, away on righties. And anything going in, you want to create a lane to where you can get to that ball easier and not be cut off in a sense. And you want to make it look like it's every time the same move. Like how Pat does it, he's elite. The way he makes his moves, every time it's the same. The timing, the preparation, the positioning, the weight distribution, everything's the same.
Has I because I read a quote Kevin Cash from the Rays had said that like turning balls into strikes is more valuable than like protecting the pass ball. Have you found that like the one knee down stance has helped with like framing, and then also does it impact like the the defensive getting in front of blocked stuff?
It does. I mean, you do want to make strikes and steal strikes, but you want to, the biggest thing is keeping strikes. You don't want to lose out on strikes because I've seen a lot of balls and I've caught some that I've caught middle. I didn't change my move, but umpires won't call it. And it's just a preparation of the weight distribution, or like you jolted too much here instead of just using your chest. It's tough because you want to block too. And like, Bowmel, he's big on like no pass balls. You catch every ball. And I'm big on that too. Like I don't want to let ball get by me. It's a kind of a bad look. But if you're saving more runs receiving because you're stealing more pitches, yeah, like it's more beneficial.
Yeah. It is fascinating to think that like, maybe you're giving up a little bit of this one, but like obviously the balls and strikes are way more because like how often does like a pass ball like even happen? I feel like those rarely even happen throughout a game.
It's more like, I think it's more bullpen because the stuff's really good. So you got to be ready for 98 to 100 with power stuff. So you just got to be ready. It's, and a lot of times now I just pick it or I stop it with my glove and just smother it. I don't really block as much, and it's actually way easier. I mean, now obviously if it's a short one that goes through the 5 hole, you're going to feel it because you don't like balls going underneath your kind of like your whole body, just like directly underneath you. You don't, that's not a great feeling. But if you block it, it's good. If it's side to side, I get it. But like
Yeah.
if you can get to it, yeah, try and block it. But if it ricochets off, it's like you might as well just pick everything because it's easier to pick.
Yeah, like a slider that tails just like in the opposite batter's box by
Oh
like
yeah,
feet. Like,
tip your cap to the pitcher and say thanks. That's just part of it. But like if you can knock it down somehow, good. But like if you can't get to it, it's like, okay, I understand. I threw it in another batter's box. My bad, bro. And it's like, no, you're good. Like I should have blocked it. If I touched it, I need to block it.
we talked about this last time, but just like playing in the Oakland Coliseum, that had to be just the worst feeling letting a ball get past you because I think people are still running, trying to chase down balls that go behind them.
Yeah, it's not, it's a terrible feeling. And then pop-ups there too, terrible feeling.
Yeah, too much foul territory. Although I kind of like it when like the back, like the brick wall that's behind you is like super close because like balls will just spring back to you instantly.
Yeah. Well, that was Chicago. Someone threw a ball like over my head. I think it was Robbie threw one. No one was on, but dude, it ricocheted right back, and I had to stop it, or like it went to the outfield or infield, and I was like, dang, that's, the ball hits there, you're kind of screwed.
Could do the Joe Mauer where it does that and he just catches it from the back. Yeah.
I try to do it, Joe Mauer. That'd be sick.
It's
Good
my
player.
favorite. It's my
Yeah, good
favorite
player.
video.
He's a good player.
Um, One thing that's come up in the course of this postseason that I thought was interesting was just like runners at second base relaying signs. This happened. I think Josh Naylor was doing it. This happened in the Phillies series. And my thought was always just like, as a catcher, are you able to see and kind of like, are you keeping an eye on that? Is the pitcher supposed to be keeping an eye on that? Because it's happened a couple of times.
I think it's the coaches, the pitcher, and me. The catcher is always, well, like especially for me, if I'm kicking out too early and they're relaying in or out and they're flashing hands over here and here, it's like it's pretty obvious, or they're crossing their foot in front to tell you if it's in, and if they're shuffling, if it's away, it's like you got to really make sure. And the Dodgers are really good at it. I mean, a lot of teams are good at it. You just don't see it. And I mean, you have Pitchcom now, so you got to take every advantage you can. And if you're going to give it to you, you might as well utilize it because you either got to be better at not tipping, or you got to either throw 100 and make sure they don't hit it because they know what's coming. And you could do whatever. Like that's why it's always tough. You don't want to step too early, but if a guy wants a kind of the pitch location early, it's like it's gonna be tough because you're gonna know where it's going. And so I try to just like set up middle, and I'm a big guy, so it's a lot of guys tell me it's easy to throw because I'm always in the middle of the plate. And even if I set up on the outer quadrant or inner, like they're telling me I'm still on the plate. So my situation might be a little different, but it's all you got to make sure the pitcher's not, say, if he's here or here. And if you see that as a catcher, you go out and say it. But like it's sometimes in the heat of the moment, you don't see it, but you can kind of pick up when a guy, the next three guys get hits and they're both just like doubles, all doubles. And you're like, okay, they're either I'm tipping or he's tipping. And then once you get out of the inning, it's like, hey, oh, so and so was doing this and they picked it up quick. And I was like, that's quick because I didn't even see it. Or hey, you're kicking out too early. Don't kick out too early. Because we had in Houston, they were telling guys what pitches were coming from the first base and third base coaches, I think. So
Yep.
we were like, I wasn't moving until like late, and then they started not hit, and I was like, okay, they don't know what's coming now.
There's so much anti-tipping and anti like you just have to be. Yeah, you're right because from your perspective, from like the tipping part of it, where it's like a lot of it is like glove placement, so it's like you kind of you obviously are looking at the way the hitter is, so it's like you have to be aware for that. Also, it's just like, have you ever caught guys like peeking like at the plate? Maybe not. Maybe there's not a runner on, but like I noticed this. Maybe it was like the Tigers M series where it was like you're right. The catcher was like he was kicking out. He was setting up on the outer part of the plate, and then dudes wouldn't even like think about swinging at the slider over there. Like there's so much stuff that goes on that like you just have to be on.
And that's the thing is like if they're peaking, like yeah, okay. If you really want to peak, there might be a fastball coming at your rib. If there's a veteran that doesn't care, but like no one really hits at people anymore, so it's like you just got to be smart. Like I talked to Trevi a lot about it, and it's just like you got to know when to kick out, how to do it. If you know the guy has a backswing, or if he's a dumper that could cause catcher interferences, we all have the information. So it's really just like timing on your part because if you have a pitcher that wants the location of where it's going early, it's like okay, then put your glove there and just kick out or something that you don't do different on certain pitches because some catchers would be like are up tall on fastballs, and then when sliders are he bends over. So it's like, okay, hey, we'll tell you when it's a fastball slider because the catcher is doing this on certain pitches. So there's a lot of anxiety and like stress that goes into it. And obviously at this time of the year with playoffs, like you're on edge and you need to know. And like I talked to Trevi a lot about it because when he was at playoffs with the Yankees, it's like there's a lot of stress but the preparation, we always talk about if you do the preparation, you prepare and you do all your stuff, you shouldn't have that stress or anxiety. And if you do, then just do extra things that you think are going to calm you down because at the end of the day, it's still a game. Like you're trying to prepare for the guy on the mound. And yeah, baseball, it's more probably looked at in the playoffs, but I still think you still got to do, if you do your routine, your preparation, all the things you usually do in the regular season, it shouldn't change how you feel. Yeah, if you
Every
go up
pitch
and
in the playoffs is every pitch in the playoffs is crazy.
yeah, and it's like hitting. It's like I get hitting, you might be a little nervous, but after the second at bat, it's like, okay, it's a fresh start in your batting average. You can go just play baseball. Like everyone's hitting zero in the playoffs. So like let's go play. You forget about regular season statistics. Like you're batting zero like everyone else with no like at bats. So you literally can go play. And that's what I when I was in Dominican, that's what I kind of felt with it was go play. Like you don't have to worry about your average or anything. It's just baseball. And yeah, you go to the Dominican, it's a different cat there, but it's dude, they teach you a lot and they teach you how to be uncomfortable and you get sick, you whatever it is, if you don't speak English or Spanish, like they do that and it's difficult and it does bring a stress to you when you're over there. When you come back, it's like you're more thankful, obviously, but that stress isn't as high here because it's like, oh well, I played in the Dominican or you played somewhere in winter ball where you're not comfortable. And that's not going to help in the playoffs, maybe, but it helps you in the regular season stuff.
Has being a catcher, like the tricks of the trade, so like from the hit when you get up to the plate, some of these things, but also just like in this, like especially like where Pajes was doing like the arm thing, he was just like blatantly throwing his arm out, whatever, like whenever the Phillies pitchers were trying to call pitches, like I don't know, like I get that like you're allowed to like that's legal within the game, but like have you ever seen somebody so blatantly try to relay stuff like that?
Oh, yeah. And they could be faking it. You don't know.
That's true. Yeah.
Like there are times where we thought teams had our stuff and they never did. We were so domed up. Like like Pat did this year actually with the Padres, and they thought we were stealing signs. Pat didn't have any signs. He was so in their heads about, oh, he knows what's going on because Pat had a great game that game. So it was like, oh, he's got to know something. It's like every time you do something, they would like whoever's hitting would do it like not even budge. So it was like it's that fine line of like you can make it look like you know what's coming, but if they're just taking because they're taking, they don't know what you're doing out there, and they have the signs. So then now it's like okay, they can leave a pitch over the plate now because they're so domed up about that versus what they're trying to do.
That's yeah, there's so much like mental warfare going on between the lines that like yeah, I definitely could see how people would be like so like, oh my God, we have to they have it for sure. They're definitely they know everything that's coming. So we gotta change all of our shit.
And that's where it's you just gotta trust what you do. And if they have it, like okay, like try to practice something or do something different so you don't have it happen again. But heat of the moment, once it's over, it's over. You gotta move on.
How good are you with calling pitches with the Pitchcom? Because I feel like there's a lot of buttons. It's like pitch, location, like that takes a large amount of the pitch clock, doesn't it?
Right. And so there are times where like some guys like just in and out, like in or away, that's a fastball in, fastball away. And then you can call like slider, curveball, changeup, splits, whatever you have. But some pitchers like sinker, because if they're a sinker guy, if then they have a four seam, you need to call both. But you can go sinker in, sinker away, or like sinkers away early, in late. Like you can have that thought, and that goes back to like cutting up like lefty righty splits, like, oh, you throw these to righties, this to lefties, laden counts, you throw this to lefties, this to righties. Like you have that kind of preparation and catching them, obviously. You get that preparation as you catch them more and you get the trust and also like how they think and how you want them to like go about. So you keep them in that consistent wave of like, hey, we're going here, here. Oh, he's probably going to want to go here. Oh, he wants to go here next. If he doesn't like this, you got to make sure you're more prepared than the guy on the mound because at the end of the day, you have to be like it. I'll stay up late doing like video, doing like my scouting reports. I'll stay up very late just to make sure I have my information because at the end of the day, like you go and tell, like, yeah, if you're getting to play a lot, like it's a little easier, but you still want to do the prep, but you want to feel like you're the smartest guy out there in a sense for the pitcher because they are like, oh, I don't have to worry about anything but do my execution.
Yeah, that's a great point. Like your biggest fear would be like being unprepared for something like
And
that.
that's a lot of stress as a catcher because it's like if you're unprepared, then you look like an idiot. And then now it's like, okay, he's probably not going to throw to me because you want guys to throw to you, but not like in a sense of like you earn that right to like say you want them to throw to you. You just got to earn it by showing them like, hey, you do this, this, this in these situations or another thing. And if you know their preparation, it's not just one individual. You got to know the bullpen, you got to know the starting staff, you got to know guys who are coming up. So you know that because it's their career too. It's like if you get a guy that comes in, like making his debut, you want to make sure you show him the time and day of like, hey man, I already went through all your stuff. How would you rank your pitches? This is what I got. I faced these guys already. They like to do the X, Y, and Z. They're probably going to be sitting on these certain pitches. You throw these the most. They're going to probably look at your statistics in AAA. They're probably AAA big league splits are a little different. So I think you attack with your heater because that's the best pitch in baseball. And you can't beat a well located fastball. Like that's my personal opinion. And you can pitch off that with your misses within reason. Because if you miss too much, then it's kind of hard to throw pitches off misses that are bad.
That's a great point. I have you edited the pitch com to say things that aren't pitch location? Is there like because I've heard some guys have said like you could put like phrases or just like I don't know. I feel
They
like you could.
the Rangers and Giants never did, but I mean, I've heard guys do it like the Royals do it because they have Salvi's voice on it, and like I think a lot of teams do it. It's just I'd never. It was always like fastball in, away, sinker, slider, curveball, and you say a guy's throwing a slider, but it's tracked as a curveball, and he wants you to call it a curveball. That's where it's like, hey, oh, because I did that with Roop, and I kept calling slider, and it was curveball, and he kept getting mad at me, and I was like, dude, you're telling me it's a slider and it's a curveball. He's like, just call it a curveball. I was like, okay. So then once we got that figured out, it was like, okay. And then it was easier, but it's just little things. Like no one really manipulates it. Like there's cancel, there's like other things, but It's pretty basic. I've never really had a weird Pitchcom yet.
Yeah. Do you wear like the cool like Secret Service like earpiece?
So this year I was wearing a hockey mask and I had that the earpiece like thing where you could put the earpiece in, but I didn't want to ever come off. So I would just wear it and just turn it up enough to where I could hear it. Cause if you have the little tube stick in, kind of like sticking out right by your ear, you can hear it. Cause I know Bieber and like a lot of pitchers are doing it where they cut a hole in their hat and they put the headset in instead of it just being the flat part, they have the tube thing right by their ear so they can hear it better.
I've always wondered because I think I've asked pitchers like this. So it's like the ballpark's dead silent. There's 10 people there. It's just like I would be scared people could just hear stuff like whatever it's calling.
And that's why I switched to that because it was a lot easier and you don't have to worry about the tube putting it in every time.
Yeah.
But it's pretty easy. It's nothing crazy.
So you've caught a lot with the automated like balls and strikes, the challenge system. What impact do you think that'll have on the catching position and just like framing? Because I feel like a full robo zone would obviously be different because I think that would kind of eliminate the whole position of like a defensive minded catcher. But how do you think the challenge part of it will play into your job?
I mean, I don't think it'll change a lot. I just think you'll need to know the zone. And that's what like you prepare, you understand where the zone top and bottom is. In and out, it's a little easier for the umpire to call, but up and down is like the ones that are like you kind of need to know. And there'll be days where like some of them are different zones. Like some of them are way different from what you kind of like go off of. And some zones are generally the same because it could fluctuate with like where the stadiums are and how they are. But you just kind of have to like do your homework in a sense of like understanding what you're looking at as a zone. And then once you figure it out, it's like, oh, okay, hey, this zone's an inch higher than usual. It's not as like big, so just be smart.
Interesting. I think maybe it was Walker Bueller or somebody was talking about just like the zone is different, which from a fan's perspective, I'm like, well, what do you mean? It's an automated, it's electronic. How could it be different? But that's just based off the stadium type stuff.
Yeah, just like because like it was weird. We'd go to Albuquerque and the zone was different, but when we were in SAC, it was the same zone as it was in OKC. So it was you got different stadiums, different places. Like Hawkeye is the one that's what's tracking this stuff. So if you know the zone is a little bit higher, you can get away with stuff at the bottom, but at the top, you got to really know where its top is because those are the ones that like you get deducted if you don't get them. But I mean, even in and out, like some umpires don't call pitches that are like for sure strikes and you don't challenge them and they're a full ball in. But there would be balls that I usually catch they look like strikes and they're like barely missing. And it's like, how's that work? And so it's just like understand the zone. Like I bet there'll be a lot of stuff in spring and you do your homework. You kind of like read the hitters, you read the zones of where they at. You understand the home zone of like where you're at playing. And then once you get the idea of that, then it's like, okay, this is the shortest guy. If it hits here, this is like the height you're trying to catch it at. This is a strike, and they'll probably cut out like a lot of stuff. So I think there's a lot of preparation. You obviously do your own homework, but I mean it just depends on what the stadium's like.
It's interesting. I didn't even think about. Yeah. So yeah, that's the stadium factor. You think about that for just like the dimensions, but we're gonna have that with the strike zone now. So that's just another thing you guys have to deal with.
And it shouldn't be any different. Like I sometimes I don't call out challenges, but if there's an oblivious one, like you try to get better at the ones that are in the strike zone. Sometimes you miss them and it's frustrating, but the ones are the oblivious ones, like kind of like pretty much down the middle, and the umpire doesn't call it because if he doesn't call it a ball or if he calls it a strike and it's a ball, he gets deducted. So he's more willing to call it a ball than a strike because then he won't get deducted as much. And so there's a weird like they're telling us like yeah, if we call strikes that are balls, we get deducted. So we're going to be a little more cautious of like pitches around the zone, and then it makes the balls in the zone harder because they think it's a ball, and then you actually catch it right and they miss. But they were pretty good this year. I think not everybody was perfect like baseball is. It's not
Yeah.
perfect, but it just depends.
The human element. I read a quote that like maybe it was like this is a while ago. It was like when Davey Johnson was still in DC. He was like catchers should only be the ones challenging pitchers, balls and strikes because pitchers I think are over 1,000. I think is what he said. So, but did you say that you're not big on challenging your stuff?
I'm big on it. It just depends on like it because I'm trying to receive and do all my usual stuff. And there's sometimes where I receive and it's like, oh, that's a strike. And I'll challenge it and it's not right. So it's like you gotta that's where you gotta know the zone. And then some pitchers, if they feel confident in it and I know it's a strike, if they look at me and say challenge it, I'll be like, okay, can we challenge it? Because I don't care if I get yelled at because it's like, okay, yeah, I challenged it. Cool. He told me to challenge it. So I like his kind of like the effort of like seeing that was a good pitch. Now, if it was like oblivious and I caught it and he's trying to make me challenge it, I'm like, I'm not doing that.
That's got to be so
But
uncomfortable though.
no, it's baseball, it's like you gotta roll with the punches. So I think it'll be a little different next year. I think it'll be if they talk about speeding the game up, I think this is just gonna slow it down a little bit, but what do I
Yeah,
know?
we just got to clean up some of those ones that are like a foot off the plate that somehow get striked.
Yeah, and that's where it's like the guys that do a lot of that stuff manipulating are really good at receiving. It's going to be interesting to see who challenges that now. And no hitters see it. Hitters know what good catchers are and the ones that aren't as good, and the ones that are very good at making. And you never know. They could start getting guys that botch balls, and the umpire calls it a strike, and the hitter will challenge it because he thinks, oh, he missed it. Like that's a ball, and it's a full ball in the zone, and oh, they lost the challenge. Now we only have two, and they have one because
Well,
that's what catchers do. Some catchers will botch it on purpose to get the hitter to challenge it, and then they know it's a ball. Oh wait, no, it's really a strike.
there's too much head games to think about. I just want to play ball. I've asked pitchers this, but like from the when the pitchers throw like an obvious like ball and the umpire calls it a strike, like how are they supposed to keep their like poker face throughout all of that? Has that happened to you where you've caught something you're like this is not right, but it goes your way and you're just like you have to like kind of go with it? How does that work?
Yeah, I usually look at the hitter to see if he's mad or something. So I'll catch it, and it's a ball, and I'll throw it back, and I'll just look at the hitter, and he'll kind of look at me, and I'll be like, because it's like you can't say it like you. I'll make a face more because I don't want to show the umpire up. I'll just go like, just like kind of like, say there's a foul ball and the umpire's getting more baseballs. Was that a ball? And it's like, I mean, yeah, dude, come on.
Oh, so you're willing to even okay. Yeah.
Well, like this is like I talked to one of my buddies and I only talked to my buddies about it. Like he got called strike and he like looked at me and I didn't say anything. I just was like, and he kind of looked at me again and he looked at me. He's like, was that a ball? And I was like, I don't know, man. And after the game, he was like, dude, that was a ball. I was like, yeah, but I'm not gonna tell you that because I would have gotten in trouble, bro. I'm not telling you.
So like Nate Lowe's up there and you're just like, I'm sorry, man, there's nothing I can do.
No, Nate would look at me and say, you're a piece of shit. And I'd be like, no, I'm not. And he would laugh because Nate knows the zone very well. Nate's a very good hitter. He knows what he needs to do. He knows his approach. He knows what is right and not right. So he knows the zone. And when it's not a strike, and Nate knows it's not a strike, sometimes he likes to talk to me. He'll chirp sometimes, but we play together, so he'll chirp me and he would say something. I just kind of look at him like I'm not going to say anything because the umpire's right behind me, and he'll be like, "Sam, that's a ball," and it's like I'm not saying anything. I'm not going to say it.
It's like, well, what was it called? That's my answer. Yeah.
Yeah. After the game, I'll be like, "Yeah, man, you were totally right." Because
Got screwed on that one.
I looked at it on True Media. It was a full ball of the zone. So good for you.
That's a part of the game that doesn't get talked about enough. Is just like I would love for them to put a microphone. Like sometimes they have where like you've picked up stuff where like the pitcher or like the batter talking to the catcher, batter talking to the umpire. But like I would love just like a full game mic'd up to hear what goes on back there because it has to be. Have you ever been like somebody's like arguing with the umpire and you're just kind of awkwardly standing off to the side?
No, there was actually somebody was arguing with the umpire, and he kept like going, and the umpire took his mask off and was like going after him. And I got in front of the umpire. I was like, "Can we get this game going? Like, can we please?
We just split ball.
Like, screw this. Like, I don't want you guys to keep arguing. Can we get this game going, please?" Because the pitcher was on a heater, so I was like, "No, no, screw this. Like, I want to keep my pitcher in the zone. Like, I
Yeah.
get it. You have an indifferent of a call. I don't need to hear it. Like, so I pushed the umpire away. I'm like, we're good, man. Like, just let's go. Let's keep this game going."
That's I didn't even think about that, but you're right. It would knock the pitcher off his rhythm if just like the batter and the umpire had like a 5 minute argument about it.
Yeah, and it happens. Like I get it. Like you get frustrated, but there's sometimes where I mean, I'm not going to show the umpire up, but I will say stuff under my mask, like not like obliviously turning around looking at him, but I'll say
Hey.
like, yeah, I'll be like, hey man, like where'd you have that? And it's like, oh, I had it down. It's like that was there. Oh yeah, well I had it down. It's like, okay. And then you go in the dugout, check it, come out and say, hey man, like that was a strike, just letting you know, like, what do I need to do different to receive it right for you? So it's not coming off as like mean, but you are saying it in like a tone of like, hey, what'd you get wrong in that? Like, why was that ball?
Yeah, because you're back there with him the whole game, so it's like you don't, maybe even like early, like a call doesn't go your way. I feel like that you don't want to like burn that goodwill that you have because you're gonna be with him.
No, no, but you got to be honest with him. Be like, hey man, like I
True.
have a strike. Okay, and it's like because Austin Hedges told me like you tell him like no, like I had that as a strike. Like, can you take a different look at it? And then say eighth inning happens, same pitch comes up and he calls it a strike because you kept making that same move and you let him know like, hey man, like that was a strike. Like, and it could be a ball. Like he's just BSing him, but it's how you the tone and how you talk. Like you don't want to come off as a dick, but like you want to
Yeah.
like make sure he understands like, hey, I had this, I had a strike. Like, can you take a different look at it?
I love this. I had a couple last things for you. These are just unrelated, like catching questions I had in my notes app. This is actually, you were talking about Robbie Ray earlier. So I read that story in The Athletic about you and him, about your relationship. And I saw the video from back when you were in Texas and you guys had like a 30-minute staring contest. How did, first of all, what, take me through that. That's the craziest thing I've ever seen. Why didn't you step out?
So I was in 22 and like I've followed Robbie because he was a D-back. So I knew who he was. And I always played against lefties. So it was my luck of the draw getting to play against Robbie all my life. And so that game specifically, it was the end of the year in 22. The Rangers weren't good that year. So it was, we're just trying to get our innings in and try and get wins, finish the season strong. And I'm sitting there as a runner on second. And I actually, so when I introduced myself to Robbie, he knew of me. But when I first went to the Giants, I introduced myself. I was like, yeah, like Sam, nice to meet you. He's like, Robbie. I was like, yeah, do you remember that one time I like stood my ground on you? And he was like, yeah, I do. And I was like, yeah. He was like, yeah, I didn't have a pitch and I wanted you to call time. And I was like, no, I wasn't gonna. And Cal asked me, he's like, why didn't you call time? I was like, because I'm not gonna call time. And he stepped off. And this was before the step off rules, all this stuff. There was no pitch clock. This was like back in 22, where it was like 4 or 5 hour games. So he steps off, kind of looks at me and smiles, and I'm still standing in the box. Like I'm like, okay, I'm gonna get hit here. We'll be fine. And he doors me and strikes me out. And after I'm thinking, I was like, dang, at least I stood my ground. It kind of like got social media kind of liked it because it was funny. I like after the at bat, I was laughing, but I was also like I kind of struck out, so I didn't want to strike out. But I went up to him the first time I met him, and I was like, yeah, man, like, do you remember that? And he's like, yeah. I was like, well, what? He was like, why didn't you call time? And I was like, because I wasn't gonna do that for you. I didn't want to let you have that like feeling of success. That I called time for you. And he was like, dude, I had no pitch grip. I literally wanted you to call time. I was just wanting to break. And I was like, yeah, well, you struck me out. He's like, yeah, I know. And so after we talked, I don't know, it was weird. I liked Robbie and I always meshed well with him catching, and he's fun to catch. Like he's a Cy Young. Like he's fun to work with. He's easy. He's easygoing, good dude. Like that whole team was awesome. It's a bunch of good guys. Like they care for each other. They pull for each other. It's a family. So they got some cool going over there, and it's fun that I got to be a part of it and kind of work with them.
I just didn't have it. Yeah, I really wanted to break. That's so relatable.
Well, yeah, it was right before he blew out. So it was like he was just signed this extension with the Mariners. So it was or yeah, Mariners, because then he went to the Blue Jays. And he was elite. Like he's still elite. But like Robbie's fun to catch. Like he's a bulldog, but he knows what he does and he does it well, and he'll keep doing it until someone proves that you can't hit his fastball, or you can, like then he'll switch. But like Robbie's fun to catch, man. It's fun to catch veterans. It's fun to catch young guys, but it's how you have a relationship with them off the field. And Robbie, he liked messing with me, but he was very serious and I'd go and talk to him, and he would always talk to me. He wasn't like Max, where you can't talk to him during a game or like start day. But I respected his time. I always respected Robbie as a player, and it was always fun to work with him because it was simple. He used his heater and he liked his slider and curveball he'd sprinkle in there, and his changeup was the outlier pitch to get everyone off it to make his heater look better. And it always ended up being like that.
So sick. Austin Wells became like the Yankee catcher, I think, to lead off ever. He batted lead off forever. And like there was a story, maybe it was in the New York Post, where it was like it's taken him a lot of time to like because he has to catch the starter in the bullpen and then he has to go get ready and take all his gear off and then put it back on. Can you talk about just like the time it takes to put the gear on and how much of a headache that is? Because that, especially leading off, I couldn't even imagine.
It would see if it was a home game, it probably wouldn't be as bad. But if it's an away game, yeah, because you want to warm your pitcher up. You want to make sure you take him in because that's what I always like. Is I like to warm up the pitcher and then walk him in because then you get to talk to them about the preparation. Now, if it's like a veteran that doesn't want to be talked to, then it's like okay, I'll take me like let me go in 2 minutes left before they take the field so I can get my stuff on. But I used to bat second when I was in like low A or something or high A. And it sucked because it would like I'd go warm up the pitcher and then I'd have to sprint in and like if it's an away game, I'd have to be ready to hit because I'm second. And
Yeah.
usually the guy in front of me would swing the first pitch. So it's like
Come on,
I'm
man.
taking a pitch and I'm hot and I'm tired in this like the Carolina League. So it's like it's different and it's difficult because you don't want to it's you got to take your stuff off, you want to take a deep breath, you want to cool off, but you're leading off, so it's kind of like okay, like you got to time yourself up right to make sure you're in the right position because like yeah, it doesn't suck to put on the gear, it just like you try to get your gear on as quick as possible to warm up the pitcher so you can see some pitches before he finishes his last warm-up pitch because you want to see if he's still dialed in or when it goes from the bullpen to the field, it sometimes changes because I don't know what sometimes it just you just don't have it and then you do have it. So it's like you want to there's a lot of things that fall into it and it's all timing. It's like how you prepare and how you use your time management right. Obviously off the pitcher, you're not trying to make it on your time. It's the pitcher you're trying to
Mhm.
get ready.
To show. Do you do the thing where it's like I've seen catchers in the on deck circle will still have like their shin stuff on, like their shin guards, and you don't stand on the on deck circle with half your gear on?
No, because we have guys that, if the guy's not playing that day, they'll go warm up the pitcher. We have a coach that might go catch him just because, but usually it's like we pick up each other if we need to, but I don't I usually if they're like, dude, take your shinnies off. It's like, okay. So once you get used to it, then you take it off and it's like, all right, I don't have to worry about getting my shin guards off while I'm on deck. So
When you're throwing the ball back to the pitcher, have you ever accidentally put too much gas on it and then kind of whipped it back there?
yeah, I'm notorious, I guess, for throwing the ball back pretty hard because a lot of I've always had a good arm, and so my whole thing is like when you're throwing it back to the pitcher, you don't want to lob it because like first off, you lose the feel of if you do actually throw the ball down. I learned it from Doug Davis with Texas, and Doug would always get on me, and it was even when I was first drafted, Bannister was always like, you need to throw the ball back to the pitcher with on a line. You can't lob it. You can't lob it. And so our catching coordinator, Chris Briones, he would always get mad at guys that would lob it. And I was always the kid that would just like zip it back. And pitchers would catch me like in spring training. Webby would catch me and like look at me and smile because it was like I'd
Oh,
let it eat back. Yeah, I would throw it back hard. It's just I don't feel like I'm throwing it hard because I get I guess good spin on my ball. So I would just like do this and they would catch it and kind of like look at me and let Roop would do it. A lot of guys would like look at me like you throw the ball back hard, man. It's like I don't feel it like you guys do. I'm just like throwing it. I don't really know what you mean by that, but
especially if they're not paying attention. Like I feel like if you throw like a cutter back and they're like half looking at you, it's like that. I feel like pitchers have gotten hit by the catcher before.
yeah, I mean, I try to make sure I know what pitcher I have on the mound to do it because there's sometimes where you got a pitcher that if he gets emotional, you don't want to rip it back because he might not be looking. And there's also pitchers that are very calm that don't want to waste energy. So you just hit them in the chest and they'll be fine. But if you throw it down, they get mad at you. If you throw it over their head, you never know. It's pitchers. Like you need to respect what they have for themselves, but also you need to make sure you're getting your throws ready and helping them if a base runner goes and stuff.
You ever seen the clip of Buster Posey throwing the ball back to Jake Peavy where he wasn't looking?
That's the best one. And Jake Lamb reacting to it because me and Jake talked about it in spring this year, and he was funny the way he was talking about it.
He's just like, oh, fuck.
He was like, "Oh my gosh!" And then he caught it, and it was like PV. He was so mad at the umpire, he didn't even care if it hit him. He just was so locked in, and that's back in that time, and still to this day, guys get locked in. They get locked in. They don't let a lot kind of deter them from what they're doing.
I love that. My last question, and this has been great. Are catchers more athletic, you think, than people realize? Because I was watching the Jays, and it was like Dalton Varsho, former catcher, caught for a long time. He's just a center fielder making diving plays now. I'm wondering if that's probably more of the norm than the outlier for catchers. Are we not giving them enough credit?
I think some catchers are like JT. He was a all-state wrestler. Pretty sure he played football. Like JT Remuto is probably the most athletic catcher I've ever heard and seen. And I've had multiple people tell me how athletic he is. And it's fun to watch him because he's so good. And people kind of like, I guess, hate on catchers, but like go watch JT, go watch something like that, and you'll be like, all right, I could see why catching's hard because he's one of the best. And you guys like me, Sean Murphy, they're big that you kind of make it, you put it up, it's like, oh, they fold up pretty well or they move well for being a big guy behind plate. And it's like it's a hard position. We're not maybe the fastest. Like, don't get me wrong, we're not fast, but you got the JTs, you got the like Gabby Morenos, you got a lot of guys in there that are fast. And then, like you can go down the list on everybody in baseball. It depends on who they are, but everyone's pretty athletic because yeah, we're on one knee, but you still got to block, you got to throw, you got to receive. Say if it's a pass ball or if it's a dirt ball, you got to catch it. And if there's a runner that goes on the dirt ball, you still got to get up, catch and throw on a line at a certain speed and time. So I think catching is very difficult. I'm not going to say it's the hardest position because there's other positions that could be more difficult, but I do think it's pretty difficult as a player experiencing it every day for however many games you catch and how many games you play.
It's demanding. Yeah, you guys are taking a beating back there too on like foul tips, and it's hot, and you got the thing on. But yeah, it
Physically
is
and
funny to think about like sprint speed and catchers.
oh,
Like
that's
some of them
terrible.
are.
Terrible. I'm
It,
probably terrible. So it's more mental. Like that's why I always say is like physical is one thing, and then you put the mental physical attribute into it, and you put those together. You're mentally thinking and you're physically working. Like you feel like you got hit by a train after some games. Sometimes it's hard.
After a game, how do you like unwind, decompress? I feel like you just after you've been back there and it's hot and you've taken a beating. What do you do?
Try to take a cold shower, maybe get in the cold tub or do your arm care, and then go work with a trainer or just like detox and just go home, relax. Don't do anything crazy. Because my off days, even on off days, like days off in baseball, like no games, I don't do a lot. I don't like going outside. I don't want to like drain myself. It's all about hydration and what you eat. And so it's like sometimes you don't get enough water that you need. So it's like it's very big. And then sleep is a big thing too. So you got to really keep up on your stuff. But like you also want to go out and have fun, like go get food with the guys or something. But you want to make sure you maximize your recovery.
Yeah, it's all electrolytes. That's the problem with this generation. It's all electrolytes and it's all about your body. But like back in the good old days, it was beers after. I feel like we've lost that.
We did it. We did it in San Fran. In Texas, we did a little bit when we won the World Series. It was fun. We had like, you have like Robbie Grossman, ringleaders would do that. And then you have like Webby. We had like guys that drink wine. It depended on what you drank, but like we tried to keep it a fun group. Like you keep it as a group, it's a family, you try to do what you need to do, but also there's guys that weren't drinking that would come and hang out too. Just just to be a part of the team. Like there's times where I didn't do much, but I would just like to be there and just hang out. So
I like a post 9 to 5 beer is like a great feeling for me, but like a post day game after you've caught beer, that might be heaven.
you'll get dizzy, or you'll get a buzz real quick. But
Half a Miller Lite, and you're like, I'm on the moon.
yeah, it's you have one or two, you're probably feeling it after the second one. But if you're built up, you've done your work in the long run, you probably feel a little better.
It's gonna rock. Dude, this has been incredible. Like I said, my notes app is just full of like little like tidbits from watching games, and the catcher's perspective is always like very well appreciated on here because, like I said, like you guys are so unique in what you guys do, and plus you're just a great guy. So like I feel like this is a great Always great catching up, man. So best of luck heading into next year. Really appreciate it.
Appreciate having me. I'll see you soon.